Hey everyone, today I'm here to give you my top 10 of the best LEGO Star Wars sets based off the Revenge of the Sith. Now, I don't really like to waste time, so let's start right away at the bottom of the list. At number 10, I have the 75043 AT-AP. This set released in 2014 for $60, and for that price you'd get 717 pieces as well as 5 minifigures. LEGO's made a lot of AT-APs over the years, so this design is pretty well perfected, and you can see that in this build. They've really mastered it as it's a perfect mix of looks and stability. And as I mentioned, this set just looks good. I think this set really brought the AT-AP into the modern age, and it really kind of just all around made it perfect. There is another AT-AP made after this in 2019, and the build is honestly basically the same. That even shows you that LEGO kind of even knows they hit the nail on the head with this set. Accompanying this build is a pretty good lineup of figures too. Now the droids aren't necessarily too exciting, although there are two B1s, but one of them does have the yellow markings for commander. So that is neat to kind of spice it up because we don't always see different variations as often as we probably should. The third droid is a B2 Super Battle droid, which were getting increasingly scarce around the time of this set's release, so it was a very welcome addition too. Our two standouts for this set though have to be Commander Gree and Chief Tarful. Both those figures are absolutely perfect, and definitely minifigures any collector should be looking to get. Now for as much praise as I give this set, you might be wondering why it's so low. This set being at number 10 though is really not a knock against this set though, and more of just a telling of how great the rest of the sets are on this list. And continuing on with this list, we'll move on to the number 9 spot, which is held by the 75233 Droid Gunship. This set released in 2019 for $50, and for that price you would get 389 pieces as well as 4 minifigures. This droid gunship is easily the best gunship we've ever seen. I really just think this build is really good looking as well as being an amazing playset. Of course, this ship has a bunch of bombs on the underneath, and you can just move a Technic pin and then they'll all drop down, which is such a fun play feature. This build really just accomplishes both fun and looks really well. The 4 minifigures included in this set too are not too bad. You have 2 B1 battle droids that are a little different. They have that Kashyyyk look to them, which isn't that big of a deal, but it is nice to see a different variation of the B1, as it can get somewhat tiresome getting the same plain tan battle droid every time. The other 2 minifigures are Yoda and Chief Tarful. Now, as I mentioned before, Chief Tarful looks absolutely perfect. This is actually the same figure from 5 years ago. They actually reused it in this set because it was so good. And that last figure is Yoda, and it's a fairly good figure. A pretty standard Yoda, though. And when you factor the build and the minifigures together, you are looking at a pretty good deal for $50. In this 7th spot, we have the 75337 ATTE Walker. This set released in 2022 for $140. And for that price, you'd get 1,082 pieces, as well as 9 minifigures. I want to start by looking at this build because this ATT is absolutely amazing. Similarly to the AT-AP, they've been making this walker for so long, they've just kind of got it down at this point. And it's so good that despite the cons I'm about to say, it still made it this high on the list. The first one I want to mention is the Spider Droid. Now, the Spider Droid itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a good Spider Droid, and I'd rather have the Spider Droid in here than nothing. It is nice to have something somewhat to oppose the ATTE. But being that this set is based off Revenge of the Sith, this really should have been a Crab Droid. Moving on from the builds, though, I want to look at the minifigures next. I actually really enjoy the lineup choices for the set. 3 droids and 5 clones. I think that's honestly a really great choice. I love the idea of being able to buy a Republic vehicle and just get a ton of clones with it. The droids are a fine and nice inclusion, as you definitely need something to oppose all these guys. The clones, however, this is the set that introduced helmet holes. Now, Commander Cody is really great looking, and is definitely a positive of this set. However, the rest of the troopers have the helmet holes, and it messes up their print on their helmet, and makes it so it's not accurate at all. But as you can see, I have it ranked at 7, so overall, when you consider all the factors in this set, I still think overall it is a good set, and deserving of this 7th spot on this list. My 6th spot is actually taken by a battle pack, the 75035 Kashyyyk Troopers. This set released in 2014 for $13, and you'd get 99 pieces and 4 minifigures. Now, normally battle packs don't really make this kind of list for me, but $13 for 4 amazing figures and a pretty good build is just an amazing deal. The Swamp Speeder, even though it's obviously pretty small, I think it looks really great for a battle pack build. These figures, though, are obviously the standouts and are truly just some of the best clones we've seen. You have the 2 different versions of the Kashyyyk Troopers, the normal kind of Phase 2 variation, and then the Scout Trooper look. And it doesn't matter which one you're looking at because they both look great. And at $13, this was just such a great, affordable way to build your army. The only con in this set is the stud shooters, as this was released in that small period where LEGO was using stud shooters. I'm really glad we're past that because the stud shooters are pretty annoying. But at $13, you can't be mad about anything you get in this set. And in the middle of this list at number 5 is actually the other battle pack, the 75036 Utapau Troopers. This battle pack was released at the same time in 2014 for $13 as well. You'd get 83 pieces and 4 minifigures. The build in this set is actually a tri-droid to oppose your clones, and I thought it was a very fun idea and very different to kind of add this versus element to your battle pack. Looking at these figures though, as much as I rave about this Kashyyyk Troopers, these guys are somehow even better. The 2 12th Troopers, as you can see, are actually printed correctly, unlike the ATTs, and they look perfect. The other 2 are Airborne Troopers, and man, these guys are just the pinnacle of clone troopers. They got every detail down to a T, including the cloth camas, and man, they're just a sight to behold. These are all such beautiful minifigures, accompanied with a solid build for $13. You just cannot beat that. I will say, as much as I rave about this in the Kashyyyk Troopers Battle Pack, it's hard to try and put it any higher on the list, as it is just a Battle Pack at the end of the day, and normally I have a hard time putting Battle Packs on my top 10 lists. So these 2 making it on here just shows how good I think these sets both are. My 4th spot is claimed by an absolute classic set. It's the 7257 Ultimate Lightsaber Duel. This set released in 2005 for $30, and it came with 282 pieces as well as 2 minifigures. Now the build itself isn't anything too crazy to rave about, as looks-wise it's not the best. By no means do I think it's bad, but it definitely has aged since 2005. This set though was never really going for looks, as it's a playset through and through, and in my opinion one of the best playsets. If you look, you can see Obi-Wan and Anakin both attached on a stand, which are attached to little rods and make them fight using, which is such an amazing play feature. We haven't seen anything like this since then, and we probably won't ever see it really again. And honestly, to some degree, it's hard for me to really explain why they needed to put this set so high on the list. But I definitely feel like it should be up here. It's a classic set that's absolutely legendary, and I would love to get my hands on this thing. For this build, I just feel like there's so much fun and play to be had here, and at the end of the day, that's kind of what LEGO's about. Now, before I move on, I have to, of course, mention the minifigures included, which are Anakin and Obi-Wan. These guys are obviously pretty old, and so they're not that detailed. And, of course, this set being kind of around the time when I was into LEGO as a kid, I, of course, have nostalgia for those figures in that style, so that somewhat factors into of why I kind of like them. My 3rd slot is taken by the 8088 ARC 170 Starfighter. This set released in 2010 for $60. It had 396 pieces as well as 4 minifigures. For $60, you get a very good build. I really feel like they got all the details and captured it perfectly into LEGO form. And if they did remake this set, there honestly wouldn't be that much they'd have to do to it. They might swap out some pieces here and there with some of the newer pieces they've been using. But other than that, I think they did such a good job with this build, and it's pretty timeless. The figures here are fairly decent. I'll start with the best one, Kit Fisto. He was a great addition to the set, as to keep the lineup a little more interesting, and without it, I definitely think the minifigure lineup would have suffered. Now, looking at the other guys, though, we have an astromech droid. The other 2 troopers are Clone Trooper Pilot Captain and a Clone Trooper Pilot. Both these figures are actually pretty good. They represent the pilots we see in the Revenge of the Sith pretty darn well. The mold for the helmet they used looks basically perfect. But this amazing build combined with these pretty good figures gives you a solid set for $60 and definitely a set deserving of the top 3 spot. Now moving on to our runner-up on the list is the 7283 Ultimate Space Battle. This set was released in 2005 for $50 and it had 567 pieces as well as 2 minifigures. Those two minifigures happen to be Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. And of course, I know I really enjoy them, but it is probably mostly nostalgia talking. Now, normally 2 figures for $50 wouldn't be that great, but in this case, I don't really see who else they could have included, and they include so much else that I'm not really worried about getting my money's worth. As in this set, you truly can recreate the ultimate space battle. You have Anakin and Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptors, as well as a Tri-Droid, 2 Vulture Droids, and 2 Buzz Droids. For $50, this is a steal. 5 ships for $50 allows just for so much play and fun. Not to mention they all actually look really good too. I just think it checks every box, and then when you factor in the price tag, it just makes total sense to me of why I have this set at number 2. Alright, it's the time everyone's been waiting for, my number 1 set. And it is the 9526 Palpatine's Arrest. This set released in 2012 for $90, and it came with 645 pieces as well as 6 minifigures. There is so much to talk about with this set. For $90, it has literally everything you want. Display ability, play, all the minifigures are so great. To start though, I will go ahead and look at this build first, which is Palpatine's office, as well as a landing pad and the ship that Anakin drives in Episode 3 to his office. This build is the perfect example of play and display. It works amazing as both. It even has the amazing play feature of being able to knock out the window in the back. This is a set I actually own, and it was one I really loved playing with as a kid, and now I love it even more as a display set. What accompanies this great build is even more amazing figures. You get 5 amazing looking Jedi and Palpatine. You get Anakin Skywalker, Kit Fisto, Aegon Kolar, Saesee Tiin, Mace Windu, and Chancellor Palpatine. That lineup is so stacked. But the thing is, it's not even just the lineup. All these figures look top notch. This set just has the total package, everything. Definitely think it deserves the top spot. And that wraps up our top 10. And now I kind of just want to thank you all for sticking around and watching my video. And let me know your guys' favorite sets based off Revenge of the Sith. I'd love to hear what those are, so tell me those down below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.